Welcome to This Week in Cyberspace from RightsCon 2025 in Taipei, where we're speaking with some of the leading thinkers in the space of human rights in the digital age, forming allegiances, working in solidarity to chart a path forward for all of us working, using the internet, which is pretty much everyone except for 2.6 billion people who are not connected to the internet right now. And with us is Costanza Sciubba
Sciubba
Caniglia, an expert.
It's very tough.
You're Italian?
Yes.
It's not tough for
And you're an expert in information integrity. You're also the founder and director of Istituto di Geopolitica Digitale.
Yes.
That's good.
It's a think tank working on the geopolitical challenges of the digital era. And you're also leading the Wikimedia Foundation's anti-disinformation strategy.
Yes.
That's a lot of work.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of work at the pointy end of the issues facing us online around the world.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, tell us about Wikipedia's anti-disinformation strategy at Wikimedia Foundation. How's that strategy that you're working on shaping up?
Yeah, thank you for the question, and thank you for having us here. It's really fantastic.
Well, it is. I mean, Wikipedia is the jewel of the internet. I always say that. I think it is the most, and you can quote me. Some random guy said no, but I really do think that it is a manifestation of humanity's collective ability to put all of our information, our language, our thoughts into what has been a relatively uncontested space, and now this disinformation scourge that's facing us. So yeah, it would be great to hear about the strategy, and I assume its aim is to protect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, the aim of Wikipedia is really for everyone, everywhere to join in the sum of all knowledge.
Yeah.
But of course, we want this knowledge to be trustworthy, and of course, with disinformation rising all over the internet, we want to make sure that we are protecting not only the information itself, but the volunteers that create the information.
Which are basically the public. I mean, anyone can put information up?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anyone can edit. But what people don't know sometimes is that volunteers not only edit the pages, but they also write policies for themselves on how to assess content and how to operate together. And so it is a quite complex system. And they also have ownership on the platform itself. So they can also write code for the platform. Or they can create tools to share. So it really is their work. And what we try to do is to make sure that they are protected, make sure that, for example, they have more tools, that they have more knowledge, that they know what it's coming, what the issues are.
Are they vetted, those volunteers? Do you put them through a process?
No. Anyone can edit.
Straight on.
Absolutely.
Isn't that amazing? Can I get you to speak closer to the mic?
Yes.
And maybe just shift around a little bit, because you might want to sit.
It's a bit noisy here in the
foyer. Noisy, and we just want to make sure that every word is precious.
Okay,
International Convention Center.
Yeah.
If I can do it without falling off the chair, then
okay.
Absolutely.
For those who are listening, not watching, we're actually on high tops here on stools, so it is a little precarious. But please carry on.
Yes. Yes. So the volunteers, anyone can edit. But the beautiful thing about Wikipedia, I think, is that when we talk about communities online, these are real communities of people who interact with each other, know each other sometimes. Of course, they're very porous, right? Like, there are people that can enter. Of course, it's very possible. In fact, very important for us that Wikipedia can be edited anonymously. So it's not necessary to be part of a community, but there are people who've been working together on many topics for a very long time. And
they would have their specialty, wouldn't they?
And they would have their specialties.
They would be obsessed with one particular chain
quantum
of thought.
computing.
Yeah, and it's not even just topics. Like some volunteers specialize on, adding commas and
the grammatical freaks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or some only do sourcing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Footnotes.
Footnotes.
Very important.
So tell us about disinformation. What's happening? What are you seeing on the site? I mean, this is the era of the battle for truth,
Yeah.
and this
Yeah.
is the era of the battle for supremacy of information. And there's no, when you think about it, like Wikipedia has to be like, is it a battlefield? Like, how are you doing it? What's the
Well,
secret sauce?
The secret sauce of Wikipedia, I've never figure it
Yeah.
out. It is such an incredible thing. It shouldn't exist in a way, right? It's so difficult, and yet it exists, right? Like,
Yeah, if you
it's
came up
really
with
a
the
secret
idea like
sauce.
Jimmy Wales did and said, let's have an online encyclopedia of all the world's information, go.
It's amazing. But Wikipedia data is not only used on Wikipedia. It's not just the people accessing Wikipedia, but is also used for search results. Is also powering
AI.
LLMs. Exactly. Yeah. Wikipedia is one of the main sources, if not the main source of training for LLMs.
Isn't that crazy?
Large language models,
Large
the
language
golems
models,
that we
artificial
talk about,
intelligence,
Mm.
and digital assistants, really everything. And so we take this very seriously, the idea that it's the ground truth of the internet in a way. And so of course, if there is disinformation on the internet and even outside, of course it spills over on Wikipedia, and of course we can have contentious issues and then things like this. So what do we do with this? Well, first of all, we found that really the thing that works the best, like the better topics, the better Wikipedias are the ones that have the most diverse communities, the largest communities, the ones that have more. And when I say diverse, in terms of anything, in terms of different walks of life, different perspectives. These
And
are
again,
the ones.
humans at the bottom of it all.
It is
Humans
absolutely
at the top and the bottom, the foundation.
That is so interesting because, like this is such a bipolar in a way, like a world where there's like so much polarization, and your polarization is actually diversity. Like, I mean, the countering to polarization is like the more voices, like the better the content.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Whereas, as opposed to like, where we're headed, which is like Ministry of Truth, like this is the answer, where so more voices, more diversity.
I guess it's
better
that
content.
averaging out.
Yeah,
effect.
an interesting thing that I didn't know before joining the foundation is there have been studies actually that being an editor on Wikipedia lowers polarization. Because you are forced to talk it out,
mediate,
and and of course the topics are encyclopedic, right? So you want to, like, the point is to create information that is for everyone, that is encyclopedic, so it stays forever. And so talking it out on the talk pages that are next to the article pages, it actually lowers polarization.
And tell us about the Wikipedia test, because that's the new framework for assessing how policies impact on public interest platforms. How does the test work?
Yeah. So first of all, we also want to say Wikipedia has just been recognized as a digital public good. So what we want to say as it's a digital public good because it's a good for everyone, and we want to protect it, and we want to make sure that it stays there, and that it's free, and that everybody can edit and read it and use it however they want. And to do this, we have developed. It actually came from an ally. It was an idea that they came up in a conversation that every time you develop a policy, you policymakers or others develop a policy on on digital governance, you should always ask yourself: does this hurt Wikipedia? or helps Wikipedia. And there are different things that could hurt Wikipedia, and we find that a lot of the times they hurt Wikipedia inadvertently, right? Like its policymakers don't set out
No.
to do that, but it can happen because the model is so different from the other models they are more used to think about and have top of mind, that sometimes it can inadvertently hurt Wikipedia. And we think that if it hurts Wikipedia, it hurts community-led, open source models, open knowledge models that are good for everybody. It's not just about Wikipedia, right? Wikipedia is also an example.
Yeah, it's an example.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you so let's get practical for a second on this. What's the story with the Gulf of Mexico?
How is it,
Who
how
and
is
here
it
and
listed in
who
Wikipedia?
who invaded Ukraine? I mean, who started the war in Ukraine? Like let's go to as basic as that. Like there is a part. Who stole the US the 2020 US election? Like, what do you do? What's going on there?
Yeah, so it's just amazing because the volunteers deal every day with this type of questions.
Yeah.
and
Of course.
and they really do it really, really well.
Yeah.
They have very strict editorial lines,
Yeah.
and they follow those editorial lines. So for example, on the Gulf of Mexico, there's a redirect from the if you look for Gulf of America, it will redirect on the pages of the Gulf of Mexico, because this is how they've been following their policies and bringing it out, and they are able to really address also these super contentious topics.
By footnoting, I guess. I mean,
Or is there a link saying, in 2025, the president of the United States said that we're going to rename this thing?
There is
and there's a link to that story.
Yeah. In many cases, they create pages that describe
the conflict. Yeah, well, that's excellent.
Yeah,
that's
and
excellent.
so there is a separate page from the geographical.
You guys can fight over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking about, geographical locations, at the Istituto di Geopolitica Digitale, you're working on a study about information operations in Europe.
Oh yeah, that was a long time ago. I'm really only on Wikipedia business these days.
So this is what happens when you search you. It's like, but wait, okay, that's fair enough.
Actually, I think that was from the RightsCon.
From the RightsCon bio.
Yeah, from the RightsCon bio. Maybe.
Okay,
Anyway,
maybe. Okay.
You need some Wikipedia editors on your bio.
I think I do.
I wanted to ask you about WikiLeaks. Is that something that, I mean, because of course Julian Assange was released and sent back to Australia. I was actually in Canberra when he landed. It was such a huge news story. How do you address that kind of information?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of times confusion, right? Wikipedia, so these things are completely different.
Yeah,
completely different.
But it would be listed in Wikipedia. The story.
It absolutely would be listed. So it would follow a similar process to the one I was describing.
Well, I think that kind of news, also that kind of content, is that on Wikipedia?
Yeah, absolutely. The Wikipedia does not set out to be a news place, but we also do know that people go to Wikipedia actually for news. So there are pages that describe this
what happened.
It just why do people get confused? They get confused because wiki and wiki, right? And I think wikis are used for multiple things. And the whole concept of, I mean, I don't have the definition of what a wiki is, but
what is a wiki?
Well, a wiki is essentially an open source platform for anybody to be able to provide content. And so it's about I guess the similarity, not that there is really any, but the sort of the liberation of information, the availability, the sort of collective mind to able to contribute to content. So
and what does wiki stand for? I mean, where what's the origin of that word?
Yeah, it was created with that word exactly for that, right? It already existed, the concept of wikis as open source websites, and then they used it to create a wiki
encyclopedia,
which is encyclopedia, and then it stuck.
So are you worried about Wikipedia like, are you worried about, given the discussion that we've had about like truth and disinformation, and very powerful forces now want to control the narrative, and this is like this independent, open source, community led, do you feel, are you concerned?
Well, Wikipedia volunteers and editors really work every day to create content and true content, right? And sometimes there might be people who don't like that,
Yeah.
and there might be people who want to, as you said, control the narratives. So of course we have seen, like, another thing I didn't know before working at the Wikimedia Foundation is just how much volunteers are at risk in many cases.
Yes, and editors as well, for digital security attacks, and also even potentially imprisonment as well. Because if you're putting content up there that's, and you mentioned about anonymous editors and contributors, because sometimes to be able to like put up information is a criminal offense unto itself.
Yeah, absolutely. They can be prosecuted. They can be imprisoned, and they do this for free, right?
Yeah.
And it is incredible.
And they can be
me,
tracked. Do you
mind-blowing.
protect them from that sort of tracking?
Yeah, so that is the reason why we don't track users. We don't extract personal user data, which also goes back to the Wikipedia test, right? And then the idea that there should be places on the internet where you don't get privacy. Where you don't get data because you want to support privacy.
Well, I will say, and I haven't said this in any of the interviews that we've done, but if people have some spare cash, there is often a request on Wikipedia. You think about how many times you use now Wikipedia a day,
totally.
a month. And I look at those messages and like I'm not going to disclose my giving practices, but but it's probably too late. But I think but it's such a worthwhile project, and I think it's going to become even more important over time. So all power to you and to the Wikimedia Foundation. And to the team and to the editors and to their safety and to the contributors. And it's been great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for saying this.